shine on, shine on, shine on, shine on. May the light of the Spirit shine on. May the light of the Spirit shine on, shine on, shine on.
Yay!
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
I
thanks,
could have
cool.
just danced and sang to that song a little while longer. It was pretty cool. Welcome to the Revealing Experience, everyone. How are we this Wednesday night? Good, good. It's so good to see you. So I'm gonna go over to that mic and play a little bit. But let's give Jim some love. And Cole. Yeah, man.
Step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the joy of who you are. Step into the love, step into the peace of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are.
I am and you are the light of the world. I am and you are the light of the world. I am and you are the light of the world. I am and you are the light of the world.
Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the joy of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the peace of who you are. Here we go. I am and you are the light of the world. Sing that together.
I am and you are the light of the world. I am and you are the light of the world. I am and you are the light of the world.
Step into the light. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, Cole. Thank you, Reverend Sunshine.
Yeah. Thank you, Jim. So, how'd you like that song? Another song that we get to sing about the truth of who we are. Can never write or sing enough of those. So we're going to sing about revealing the peace, the joy, and the love that we are. Reveal, reveal the love inside of me. Reveal the love that I was meant to be. And every time I open up, love is what I see. Reveal the love in me. The peace. Reveal the peace inside of me. Reveal the peace that I was meant to be. And every time I open up, peace is what I see. Reveal the peace in me. The joy. Reveal the joy inside of me. Reveal the joy that I to be. And every time I open up, joy is what I see. Reveal the joy in me.
Take it higher.
Reveal the love inside of me. Reveal the love that I was meant to be. And
Every time I open up,
love is what I see.
and every time I open up, peace is what I see. Every time I open up,
joy is what I see. Reveal the joy in me.
And once again, it's a big thank you, Cole, Jim, and Sunny, for all that you enter into so that we may as well. And so I ask you and invite you to find a space that is part of you, that is all that you know of the life of God. And as you resonate with that, as you sit with that, as you rejoice with that, knowing that that is the life that God is, and that that is the power and the presence of each one here. It is such a wonderful thing to know that this revealing community is here together, reaching, stretching, honing in on all there is to find out and to learn and to take in and embody about spirit, about the life that God is forever, infinitely, and eternally. And I'm so grateful that this heart of mine fills with all that is brought here by each of you. I know that it fills this space with love and harmony, peace and joy, and all that is clear in the expression of the one, all that brings life, fulfilling ideas and things to each one here to shine the one. For we are all of that and in that and through that. And my heart overflows with that tonight, knowing that everything is good, everything is so, so good. And so it is. Hello. It is April 7th. I am glad to be here. 9th? 7th. Ooh, Monday was 7. That's what my week has been like. Thank you. That's what my week has been like. Days disappearing after days. And so, we have this revealing service, and we have some time in the Science of Mind, of course, for the entire year. We're reading that huge book a little bit at a time all year long because we are getting booked up, and that is the theme for the year. And it's just the blessing of being able to look at the Science of Mind textbook by Ernest Holmes. Reverend Sunshine's message tonight is called It Is or It Isn't. And so reading from that, we've been talking about prayer. We've been reading about prayer. And I'd like to read from Ernest today, and it's entitled, Prayer is Essential to Happiness. Prayer is not an act of overcoming God's reluctance, but should be an active acceptance of God's highest willingness. Through prayer, we recognize a spiritual law that has always existed and put ourselves in alignment with it. The law of electricity might have been used by Moses had he understood this law. Emerson said, "Is not prayer a study of truth, a sally of the soul into the unfound infinite?" Prayer is constructive because it enables us to establish closer contact with the foundation of wisdom. and we are less likely to be influenced by appearances around us, to judge according to appearance. Righteous prayer sets the law of the Spirit of life in motion for us. Prayer is essential, not to the salvation of the soul, for the soul is never lost, but to the conscious well-being of the soul that does not understand itself. There is a vitality in our communion with the infinite, which is productive of the highest good. As fire warms the body, as food strengthens us, as sunshine raises our spirits, so there is a subtle transfusion of some invisible force in such communion, weaving itself into the very warp and woof of our own mentalities. This conscious commingling of our thought with spirit is essential to the well-being of every part of us. Prayer has stimulated countless millions of people to higher thoughts and nobler deeds. That which tends to connect our minds with the universal mind lets in a flood of its consciousness. If we think of God as a heavenly dictator, something apart from that which lives and moves and has its being where we are, then we are certain to believe ourselves disconnected from this infinite presence. And in the inevitable consequence of such thinking would be a terrible fear that we should never be able to make contact with God. But if we know God as the indwelling presence, our prayer is naturally addressed to this presence in us. We long for and need a conscious union with the infinite. This is as necessary to the nature and intellect of all of us as food is to the well-being of the body. So with that, let's see what is and what isn't, and get Reverend Sunshine up here for us.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, beloved Jan. Thank you for that beautiful reading and that beautiful prayer. Hi, everyone. How's it going? Good, good, good. Welcome to Wednesday night, to the Revealing Experience. This Sunday, I had the opportunity to be in Ventura, visiting with our brothers and sisters at the Emerging Spirits Center. And so, of course, they send their love, recognizing that right where you are, God is. And, of course, I forgot that I was going to be there. But I told them y'all said hi anyway. I always bring our seaside community wherever I go because it's important for us to know that no matter where we are in the world, that we're one, that we're connected, that the living God that is living inside of me is that living presence that is living inside of you. And so I had a wonderful time there with them, and they send their deepest love, knowing that right where we are, God is. And I told them that I would tell you that. So there you have it. So tonight I'm committed to talk about it is or it isn't. So here's what it is. What it be? What is it? What? What is it? It itself. It's interesting because growing up as a young person, I never imagined calling God, God, it. It was always He. He. So much so that how I was socialized and or brought up in religious institutions, that everyone always talked about God as He, and that it was almost an insult to call God it, as if it were as if it were a thing. And yet, as I've looked at my science of mind upbringing, if you will, or my own socialization, my own acculturation and assimilation in the science of mind philosophy, it, and occasionally he, and if I'm hanging out at Agape, occasionally she, is how God or spirit, this loving creative intelligence, is addressed. And now it's just so easy for me to know it, God, it. Because it's neither male or female, and it actually has the masculine and the feminine qualities, and it expresses in, through, and as us. So in the reading for today, as we're taking a look at our Science of Mind book in a year, it's beginning to talk a little bit about God and the essence of God, and whether we believe that it is or that it isn't. It begins to question us in terms of our faith. It begins to take a look at where we are and what we really believe in, and whether or not this belief can be substantiated, or is it just really talk? You know, we started out in the beginning of the year reading the Science of Mind book, and I remember stating, if all we ever knew was God is, period, and if that was all we studied, if that's all we knew, that God is, that logically we would recognize our life as the life of God. That we would recognize our life as the life of spirit. That it is one of the ways, one of the many beautiful ways that spirit expresses as us. And it seems to be going back to that same point, because it is or it isn't. You know, people say all the time, oh, well, you can't be a little bit pregnant. You know, either you are or you're not. And faith, as it's described in our reading today, is really about whether we are having faith, whether we are believing and knowing the substance of the things hoped for, so the demonstration of what we hope for, and the realization or the demonstration of that which is unseen. Our faith can either be faith in lack or faith in the abundance that God is. But it will always demonstrate in our life based on what we believe. So if we take a look at what's demonstrating in our lives, if I take a look and demonstrate and look and see what's demonstrating in my life, I can tell what I'm believing. And either I'm believing that God is or God isn't. That love is or it isn't. That peace is or it isn't. And it's that simple. So what's our challenge? What is the challenge that we have from day to day as we take a look at, well, how is it that I begin to believe and begin to really have faith in this truth, in this philosophy, in this way of life that tells me that there's one power, one presence, one life, that life is that life that God is, and that it has created everything out of itself. Therefore, all of creation has that potentiality, has that essence. Everything is God expressing beautifully and magnificently. Therefore, that which is true of me is true of God. Either I believe that, but if I don't, then I'm kind of in that place of wah, wah, wah. Kind of like in Let's Make a Deal, when we pick the wrong door and we get the booby prize, you know, the hay and the fake horse, you know. The challenges that I think that we face from day to day is really a matter of where we're putting our attention. On our listserv, the ministers of our movement, we have an email, this ministers listserv, and we've been having some conversations. So people just kind of email back and forth. They'll throw out a question and answer, and or hey, here's, a little tidbit that's pretty interesting. So lately on the email, it's been this whole thing about celebrities. Mickey Rooney, they were talking about how Mickey Rooney was at one of our centers and, what a great and dedicated person he was to our philosophy and our way of life. And the conversation just kind of went on about a couple of other notable celebrities that have been on the silver screen and on the boob tube, at home and all of that. But what caught my interest was not celebrities, because we're all celebrities. We all got our fan club, right? But what caught my attention is a comment that a minister made, and that comment was, actors love the science of mind because they already do what we are supposed to be doing. So, I'm an actor. I'm studying for a part of a woman in prison. I go and I study about what it's like to live in prison, and I get in the mindset of what it's like to be in prison, and I put on the uniform of what it's like to be in prison. I start eating mediocre food, so that I can have that facial expression of what is this that I'm eating, and I start being tough if I'm one of the tough people, right? Whatever it is, the actor gets in that mindset, begins to surround him or herself in the environment of the person that she or he is studying, and they become that person. I love watching Denzel Washington. He becomes the pilot, and he had the walk, and all these, Meryl Streep. I mean, when we watch good actors, there is no differentiation between that person and the real person. Somebody who plays a queen, it's like, wow, she played the queen flawlessly. They get so into the part that they actually become that. That's why there's so many romances in Hollywood, I think. People play lovers so much, next thing you know, they're dumping the one at home and they're getting with their co-star. They've seen it and visualized it so much. But so it is with us, that if we were to really take on the role of an actor, if you will, and begin to really study what it's like and really be and immerse ourselves, really socialize ourselves in the atmosphere of what it's like to be abundant, what it's like to be peaceful, what it's like to live in harmony, what it's like to be in great health and wellness. If we began to really feed our minds with the truth, okay, because it's not like it's a lie, it's already the truth of who we are. If we began to have faith in that which is the truth of who we are, then just like the actors, you'd be like, yeah, when you see me, you see God. When you see me, you see harmony, you see abundance, you see peace, you see joy, you see a life of happiness. A life of happiness. Because as the reading that Jan read today, which was from our reading a few days ago, a life of happiness is not about praying to convince a reluctant God to give us anything. It's already been given. It is or it isn't. So either I believe that it is or I believe that it ain't. And either way, what do I have to lose? I have everything to gain. Everything to gain by simply even taking on the role of an actor who's playing a part. Because what begins to happen is as I begin to live and breathe and have my beingness, and I'm already seeing the successful life that I am having in peace, in harmony, in joy, in love, in wellness and wholeness. And I begin to then manifest those things are automatically happening happening because that's where I'm paying attention. So as we take a look at our lives, in what areas are we not experiencing the fullness of life? Maybe we can begin to pay attention to some of those areas and begin to really absorb and begin to really put into practice even just the simplicity that either God is or God isn't. Either God is my very life or it isn't. And I get to live accordingly. But what sense does it make to believe that God is all, or to profess that God is all and that God is living me and then live in mediocrity? Now, I'm not saying that we have to live like this lavish, totally like, money, gold, coins falling out my pocket that I have so much. But everybody has a different desire. Everyone has a different point of, yes, this is what I can accept. This is what I would like to experience. I don't necessarily need to have gold coins falling out of my pockets every time I walk. Cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. Like, I don't need that kind of opulence. Some of you may. Some of you may want to bless the world like that. Cha-ching, cha-ching, and have somebody behind. Right? But others will be like, hey, I'm happy with this. Others are like, I'm happy with this. Others are like, I'm happy with this. Like, this is what I need, and this is what I like. This is the level of happiness that I can accept for myself. Whatever it is, know it. Know it and know that it is also available to you. Everything has already been given. It's already all been given. We have it. And to the degree in which we accept it, to that degree, we get to experience it. One of the things in today's reading, when he talks a little bit about fear, someone has said that the entire world is suffering from one big fear. The fear that God will not answer our prayers. Let us analyze the fears which possess us and see if it's true. Either it is or it isn't, right? The fear of lack is nothing more than the belief that God does not and will not supply us with whatever we need. So is that what I'm believing? Is that what I'm manifesting? The proof is in the pudding, right? Either it is or it isn't. It's either showing up or it isn't showing up, and it's showing up based on what we believe. So fear of death is a belief that the promise of eternal life may not be true. The fears of loss of health, loss of friends, loss of property, all arise from the belief that God is not all that we claim. It's getting real in here. It's the belief that God is not all that we claim. Omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. So we're busy praying. Oh, there's one power, one presence, one life. It's omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. It's all-knowing, all-powerful, everywhere present. But do we believe that? Or is there a fear, oh, I hope this is true, because if it ain't, I'm in trouble, right? But what is fear? Nothing more nor less than the negative use of faith. Fear is the negative use of faith. It's faith misplaced, a belief in two powers instead of one. A belief that there can be a power opposed to God, whose influence and ability may bring us evil. In other words, to correct all the evils of the world would be but to have positive faith, faith rightly placed, a faith that lays hold of the integrity of the universe, the magnificence of God, and the unity of all life. Nevertheless, we cannot have faith in that which we do not, in some measure, understand. So, if we don't understand something, how can we have faith in it is pretty much what he's saying. So what's important for us now is that either our spiritual practice is in place or it isn't. Either our spiritual practice is in place or it isn't. It is or it isn't. And in order for us to really have faith in this omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent power and presence that is our life, we must have a spiritual practice to anchor and continue to steep within us, not only in our hearts, but in our minds, in our DNA, to steep within us that there is nothing, no thing that separates our life from the life that God is. It is an impossibility for us to be anything less than the beautiful and magnificent way that life, capital L-I-F-E, that love, capital L-O-V-E, that God, capital G-O-D, is showing up on this planet as us. But unless we begin to really engage in our spiritual practice day in, day out, hour in, hour out, we cannot even know or understand that this is our truth. I was watching Joel Osteen the other day, and he told a story about this woman who was using faith negatively. But here was her thing. She was very sickly. And she would go from doctor to doctor to doctor. And they would give her prescription after prescription after prescription. She finally shows up to this doctor, and this doctor notices how negative she is. And he's given to tell her, okay, here's what you're going to do. Here's my prescription. Every day, every hour, 5 or 6 times each hour, each waking hour, you are to say, I am better and better in every way, every day. And she said, no, seriously, doc, I need a prescription. He said, no, I'll give you no such thing. Do this, and the next time I see you, we'll check out where you are. You see, like the actor, he was telling her and he was prescribing to her a manner of living and a manner of being which would attract to her, which would remind her of the truth of who she is. That every day, in every way, she is better and better. Now, I have you know that she started doing this reluctantly. But sure enough, like a prescription, she did it. She started recognizing within the week already, because it ends up that she was doing this 60, 70 times a day because she was awake for 10 or more hours. And every hour she would remind myself, I'm getting better every day in every way. I am better every day in every way. And she would just tell herself that 5 or 6 times a day. She started having a brighter attitude. She started greeting people with just a little more levity. She started recognizing that there was a change happening within her. And by the time she actually got back, several weeks later, to see the doctor, she didn't need as many medications as she had previously been taking. Why is that? Is it because our natural state is wholeness? Isn't it because our natural state is harmony and peace? Isn't it because when we tell ourselves and remind ourselves of the truth of who we are, it resonates and it vibrates on such an energetic level that the body can't help but be obedient and conform to that which is already our divine pattern? We're not here to live in mediocrity. We're not here to just settle for less. Our philosophy and our way of life calls upon us to step up to the truth of who you are, to step into the light, to step into the truth, to really take what we've learned and say either it is or it isn't. And if we say that it is, then we must do what is necessary and be what is necessary in order to demonstrate that which we say we believe. Many great avatars have walked this planet with the same message. Many of us continue on a daily basis to absorb these principles, to absorb the teachings, to absorb these universal truths, to incorporate them in our lives to such a degree that our default is love, that our default is joy, that our default is laughter and harmony and wholeness and abundance. It's a great default. You know, it's a great place to be like, oh, yeah, that's just my automatic. That's just where I go. That's just where I go. I'll tell you this last story before we go into meditation, before we go into our time of silence. At Emerging Spirits Center in Ventura, at the end of their service, they do what's called a win. And so pretty much if anyone has had a win this week, they get a chance to be like, this happened, and they get to share a win, something that has happened for them that's wonderful. So the minister there, she's like, okay, it's time for our wins, and there's some couple people who, were sharing their wins, and then this one lady stands up, and she talks about how she adopted a pet, and she had the pet, and the pet was going under the bed, and then she thought the pet was under the bed, but the pet had really gotten out. And then she saw a pet hair, like a fight had happened. And exactly, some of the people were like, and they were thinking the worst. They forgot it was a win. Hello? Okay, so there's the default. Just check it out, right? Like everyone, oh my gosh, what happened to the, and they were like shaking. You could hear the knees locking. People were so scared about this animal, and she goes on to, the story gets dimmer and dimmer and gloomier, and people forget it's a total win, right? And what happens is like an hour later after she just decides, oh, well, this adopted animal that I rescued has now gone on. And an hour later, it's at her door. And it's okay. And so she's like, okay, bringing it back in and just totally loving it and nurturing it. But notice where we go. Notice the default. Either it is or it isn't. Either we believe that life's eternal or it isn't. Either we believe that God is all or we don't. But our actions and our default places, we get to grow in those areas. So even if we went to that place of, oh, I wonder if it was a dog or a cat, because I never said, right? But like, poor animal, we get to just kind of check in and go, wow, okay, I thought, oh, it's still under the bed. She just, that's where I went, and people are going, woo, woo, woo. I'm like, oh, it's probably still under the bed. It wasn't, but, it was still a win. It was still a win, and that was the thing. So it's the same with us. It's the same with us, where we get an opportunity now to examine what is manifesting in our lives. Based on what is manifesting in our lives, we don't get to beat ourselves up because it's like, oh, I'm actually manifesting fear and doubt and lack and limitation. But instead, we get to go, wow, well, I don't want to demonstrate that. I want to demonstrate love and abundance and joy and happiness. So it's easy. We just work backwards. We look at what's being manifested, and either we go, yeah, we like it, so we keep doing what we're doing. But if we don't like it, it's just like, so what thoughts must I be thinking in order to manifest wholeness in my body? What thoughts must I be thinking and entertaining if I want to manifest abundance? What thoughts must I be thinking if I want to experience joy beyond measure? What thoughts must I be thinking in order to attract that perfect spouse or companion? What thoughts must I be thinking in order to have a great family life? What thoughts must I be thinking in order to experience the joys that are around me in each and every moment? And it all boils down to either we believe that it is or that it isn't, that God is all or that it isn't. But if we're believing, like our philosophy teaches us, that God is all, everywhere present, all powerful, all knowing, and if we just stick to the basics, that God is all, therefore my life is the life of God, and we study that, we meditate on that, we sing songs about it, we write chants about it, we pray with those same things. If each and every hour we begin 5 or 6 times a day, I'm not a doctor, but I will give you a prescription. Don't make me write one now. You can write your own, practitioner. Heal thyself. Right? What's your prescription? What's your prescription? What is it that you will tell yourself every hour, 5 or 6 times a day, each and every hour? What is it? Because whatever it is right now that's coming forth, we're going to take that into our time of silence. So clear your laps. And as you clear your laps, it's simply a symbol of clearing away any of the debris, anything that no longer serves you. It's a clearing of the mind. And as we recognize that God is all, we say yes to it is. It is. It is all-knowing, all-powerful, everywhere present. It is living in, through, and as my very life right now. And as this is my truth, this is the truth for each and every one of us. Those of us who are present here physically and those who are live streaming. God is our very life. Radiance is our very life. Harmony is our very life. Divine creativity is our very life. That life of that creative intelligence is what is living and breathing and having its way as me. And to the degree in which we recognize this and know this for ourselves, we get to live fully from this place. So right now, whatever prescription came up, whatever phrase came up, we're just going to sit with that for a few minutes in the stillness and in the silence, and we're going to know that our life is the life of God. We're going to know this.
is right here where I am. I am right where I should be. And I fill my heart with peace. I am right here where I am. God is right here where I am.
And as God is right where I am, I'm convinced and I believe that there is one power, one presence, one life, and that life is that life of God. No matter what we call it, this indwelling presence is my life. I am what it is, and it is what I am. There's nothing, no thing that separates my life from that life that God is. And as this is my truth, I know that this is the truth of all life. That this all-knowing, all-powerful, everywhere present in creative intelligence is living beautifully and magnificently as all life. Therefore, the truth of radiance, the truth of love, the truth of life, the truth of God is the truth of everything. So I just accept that a little bit more. I open up the doors to my consciousness and my awareness, and I simply take in a little bit more that my life is that life that God is. That the love that God is, I am. That the peace, the joy, the eternal life, the abundance that God is, I am. And I allow that to simply settle within me, to well up within me. I begin to accept that a little bit more than I had before. And then I look for all the ways that it proves itself. I look for all the ways that abundance shows up in my life. I look for all the ways that love and beauty and creativity and joy and love show up in my life. And it just continues to affirm that this is my truth, that this is who I am. It continues to affirm that this is who you are and that this is what life really is. And to the degree in which we accept this and know this, then we too are free from all discord. That we can indeed live in a place where everyone is free. Free from this idea of fear, or from this faith in negativity or that which is not true. We can live freely from this place of discord where we think that our life is something else outside of the full and complete and perfect and divine life of radiance. And so right here and right now, I simply bless all those who have called our prayer line, all those who have filled out cards, all those who are requesting prayer, recognizing that right where they are, God is. Recognizing God as Candace, recognizing God as Rick, recognizing God as Rose and Jennifer and Nicolette. Recognizing life and love and God and the radiance that God is as Mark, as Soraya, as each and every one of us here, knowing that the fullness of this life is expressing beautifully and magnificently as each and every one of us. And so we set ourselves free right now We embrace our wholeness right now. We embrace our health. We embrace our eternal life right now. And we recognize that our life is that life of the almighty radiance, that life of God. That's just the way it is. So we let it be. And so it is. Amen. Ooh. Thank you, Jim. I can't wait to hear y'all's prescription. Y'all took me someplace. I don't know where I went. It was amazing. How grateful I am for this spiritual community and how we get to grow together and how we get to unfold together and how we get to support the greater Seaside community. So I'm going to invite our ushers to come forward at this time. Melissa and Dennis, thank you so much for your service. I'm going to invite those of us here and those of us at home to simply take a moment and reflect on the abundance and the prosperity that has entered our lives and that we continue to participate in the flow and the reciprocal nature of life and the giving and the receiving and the ebb and the flow of life. And just recognize all the areas in which we experience abundance and joy and love and peace in our finances as well. And I invite you now to simply take out your gifts, your tithes, your offerings, that which you have planned to share with this spiritual community in support of not only our Wednesday night service, but that our doors are continue to be open for those seeking the same truth, and that you hold on to that gift right here. Maybe keep it close to your heart. And that as we become grateful for that which we have been given, we simply bless these gifts, these tithes, these offerings. As we place them into the basket, we know that the divine law of circulation is happening. The reciprocal nature of life is happening. We know that this portion of what we give is simply just a portion of what we've received. So joyfully and gratefully, we lovingly give it forth, knowing that what we get in return and what we continue to get flows to us in abundant and magnificent ways. So for this and so much more, we give thanks and we let it be. And so it is. Go forth, ushers. And as you give, beloved, you receive. And so again, we're going to receive the beautiful music of Sunny Daye. This is an original piece. And we have Jim and Cole. Uh-oh. I feel it. I feel it. Here we go.
Knowing there's a place for us where we can all be free. We'll work hand in hand, starts with you and me. Every day's a gift we get to better someone's life. We all live under one sky. Under one sky. Build a bridge of love and trust, connecting every life. Take the time to talk it out, say what's on your mind. We can all do our part to live in harmony. We all live under one sky. someone's life. We all live under one sky. Under one sky. Under one sky.
We all live under one sky. We all live under one sky. We all live under one sky. We all live under one sky. We all live under one sky. We all live under one sky. We all live under one sky. We all live under one sky. We all live under one sky. We all live under one sky. We all live under one sky. We all live under one sky. We all live under one sky. Under one sky. We all live 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 under one sky.
One heart, one life, one
under one sky. We
mind.
all live under one sky.
Oh yeah, can you feel it? One heart, one mind, one life. Thank y'all.
Sunny Daye,
Yes,
Jim Bianchi, Cole Miller.
Cole.
Thank you. All right. We have time for one or two prescriptions. If you want to share your prescription or a joy or something that you got from today's message or some aha or something amazing that you'd like to share with our community, this is our time where we have an opportunity to just simply be revealers of truth ourselves. What's up, beloved?
No, I just wanted to give a little history on that. Every day and every way I get better and better. That's really the truth. That came from a man in France. I forget his last name, but I studied the Silva method 30 years ago, and they use that term, every day and every way I get better and better. And this psychologist who worked for these people who had to do that, he found them to be, that this made a difference. And if you want the whole story, you just go to Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. Because you know you could trust Wikipedia in every day and every way. Oh, really? It does. It does. It gets better and better every day in every way. Thank you for that. You're welcome. See, I don't be lying to y'all. The doctor used it, and it worked. Anybody want to share their prescription, what they're going to say every hour, 5 or 6 times a day? Every hour, 5 or 6 times every hour? Last call. Okay. Y'all are full, huh? Y'all are full. Okay, perfect. You want to trade? You want to keep this one? All right, perfect. So, beloveds, we show our announcements, just so that you know. We show our announcements before service, what's happening in our spiritual community, and then we also show them up on the PowerPoint after service, so that this way you can stay abreast of what's happening in our spiritual community, what some of the classes are, some of the events that are happening, all that good stuff, and that you are well aware of what's going on. Like, who said that? Marvin Gaye, huh? What's going on? It is or it isn't. So, thanks so much for coming out today. Thanks so much for being here, for participating in the revealing of your life as a life of God, and for knowing it a little bit more, what my hope is that the person that walked in these doors is now somehow transformed and transmuted by the renewing of our minds, so that the person walking out is actually someone who's uplifted and someone who knows a little bit more of their life as the life of God than before you walked in here. And you know, one of the ways that this is all supported for us week by week is that we have some wonderful, wonderful people that come together each and every week to make sure that we have this loving container and this loving space in which we can grow and unfold and be renewed in our minds and in our spirits. And so I'd like to thank Ginny, our coordinator, for being here each and every week, for making sure that everything is happening, that we're all comfortable, and that things are operating in such a wonderful and beautiful way. I want to thank Ed Reeves in the back. Thank you, Ed, so much for facilitating our sound and that we can be heard clearly and doing our PowerPoint up on the screen. Tim, thank you so much, Tim Griffin, who takes care of our AV, actually our online, and who makes it so convenient for people to see us at home. Mwah! For those of you at home, really miss you tonight, and invite anyone who's new to please come and be here, or to continue to live stream with us. That's so, so important. Also want to thank our musicians, Cole Miller, Jim Bianchi, Sunny Daye. She's got the CD single of that song, Under One Sky, available for you tonight as well. And then want to thank our practitioners. Our practitioners are the folks who know the truth for and about us, regardless of the situation on how it may outpicture. And so I want to thank Jan Hartman for stepping in tonight and being with us tonight with that wonderful reading and that wonderful evocation. And want to thank Bruce Wilkinson. He has been holding vigil, holding the light in the back, knowing the perfect unfoldment of our service. And these two beloved beings are going to be available for prayer right after service in our chapel. So if there's something on your hearts and mind that you would love prayer around, please see them. It's their gift to you to pray with you and to know the truth with you. And if you would like a written prayer, or if you want us to pray with you and for you on the back end, please fill out a prayer request form, and the practitioners here at Seaside, along with the ministers, will know the truth for and about you, and will pray knowing the truth for the perfect unfoldment. We have refreshments after service tonight. So as we fellowship and are together in the family room, please hang out for a little bit and just love up on each other. I got hugs for everybody here, so if you're in need of one or maybe two, I got some extra. And it would be my joy to embrace you and to love you tonight. So without further ado, please rise. We're going to sing our closing prayer, and we'll be fellowshipping in the back. Thank you, Sunny Daye. Love you, Mama.
This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see, with open hearts and open hands. We lift our voices, in love we stand. This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see, with open hearts and open hands. We lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand.
Love you so much. See you in the family room.
When I name it, claim it, when I